the intro music. Yeah! Woohoo!
Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today doing another grading for this arc as we wrapped up Strange New Worlds Part 3. That's it. She's done with new things coming next week. So now we need to grade how this month was. And I'll admit, it started off really poor for me. And it wasn't just me, even our good friend DJ, you know, the most positive of all the cats. I mean, he's usually the one that's like telling people, hey, this is great. Let me tell you why. Even he was like, F. He was done, put up a 30-day shield to start this month and was just fed up. Now, the good thing is things did get progressively better. I think that's going to make grading this one a little bit different. And I've even been talking to the dev team and Eco about this a little bit. It really feels like this year has been the highest of highs and the lowest of lows when it comes to this game. And grading it, I think, has to represent that. And what I mean is when you're going through this grade process and when you're going through evaluating, you have to take into account what was good, what was bad. And we've gotten a little bit broader in how we grade this past month. And I've spent a lot of time talking with players who were below level 33, meaning they missed out on the Mantis and all of its content. And even higher level players who look at things like the event store and go, well, it just wasn't very good for me. So here's what we're going to do today. We're going to do what we normally do. We're going to take a look at all of these factors and grade it. We're going to start with the Mantis itself, the ship that is your big feature, the ship that's your big feature. Here, this could be, don't get mad at me, but it's a C. The Mantis as a whole as itself is a C, and here's why. Now, the biggest issue I have with the Mantis comes down to communication. It was not properly communicated, nor has it been properly communicated by this time when this ship will be available free to play. And that is a standard and a precedent this game has set for years. So having no outline makes that problematic. Now, here's the thing. I know why it hasn't been released in terms of why they haven't said why it's out yet, and then why they haven't given you a timeline. And honestly, the reasoning they have is a solid reason. But here's the thing. As a player, you don't care what the reason is. And I'll be honest, it shouldn't matter. There should be a level of communication. You know what's going on. You don't have to tell everybody, hey, this is the very specific reason of why, but you can give people an understanding of what's going on instead of leaving them in the dark and letting them see everybody else enjoy a brand new toy that had to be paid for and telling content creators, well, by December, you'll probably know and we'll give you an idea. You can't give people a 4-month freaking window and expect them to be happy about it. But in terms of how the Mantis operates and how the Mantis was updated, improving its cargo size as a whole, this feature was a solid C. There are some aspects of it that are amazing, and I'll show you some of those aspects if you haven't gotten to see them for yourself. The best part about the Mantis to me comes down to this right here. Hull fragments and the officers. The officer sourcing here is absolutely phenomenal. You've seen me do some of these pulls where I think so far I've had 5 full pulls from this set, and I don't expect a full pull every day, and sometimes it's going to happen like here where I'm getting 2 shards of an officer, and that's okay, although I just got 5 Spock, which is better than the bottom pull. That's fine. This gives a permanent sourcing for Strange New World officers. We hope Strike Team will get added there at some point. As you notice, the Strike Team is already on the banner. Comment if you believe Strike Team is getting added to Strange New World and the Mantis. I think that'd be pretty handy. But also the Syndicate XP that you can grind after, that being valuable. And then they increase the cargo size of the ship. Now, there is still a problem I really want to point out real quick. And the reason that this is not getting a higher grade as a feature is the biggest issue, and I'll admit this kind of slipped our minds a little bit as we were arguing for what the Mantis needs to be better. The research is ridiculously expensive, and it's going to take you a long time, a couple years, completely growing every day to max out this research. That's kind of problematic. Now, where am I getting that time frame from? It will depend on your level and where you're at, but you know, right around 1.5 years, 2 years to get this fully upgraded. That's a problem. That's way too long because we know other specialty ships are going to come in that time, or research is going to come in that time. Like if that was the only thing happening, it would make sense, but it's not. And it's just adding to a lot of, you know, researchers that we already have everywhere, and that made it not the biggest for me. That's why I gave it a C, to go alongside the communication. But let's talk about the biggest aspect of this month, and that's the event store. And while the event store wasn't loved by everybody, it's really tough for me to look at event stores and not give it an A. I mean, it just, not only the UI update that came in the previous event store, but in general, this is just a great store. Look at what's available. Now, I've purchased some of the things that are in it now, but you see the officers that were present, really good choices here. I know a lot of people going after La'an because of the below deck ability and tearing her up. I want to get Pike to a high level, but then you also had a great set of officer choices. The lower decks is pretty popular. And even if you were a lower level player, you can get some more officer tokens to try to go through those upgrades. But you look at the ship blueprints, besides the fact that the 4 stars weren't in here, and I know that's a gripe point from many players, I still give it an A because the 4-star have never been in there. And while I do agree they should be in there, it makes no sense for the 4-star ships to not be here. It still has a lot of what players need and want, which is ship BPs, especially ships unlocking, going that process. In terms of ship parts, I thought that was good. You had pattern buffers in the store for the first time. You had all the cloaks, but as well as the different projectile shards. You know, everything that was in here was everything players asked for, and they went through 2 different processes this month, 2, where they actually added things to the event store based on recommendations. Did we get everything we wanted? No. But at the same time, I still have to give it a grade of an A because of what they did go through. Now, real quick, I mentioned those projectiles. Let me mention this pack that showed up because people are asking, does that pack have value? I don't have it on the screen at the moment, but there's a pack that has the 3 projectile skins for $100. Value-wise, I'm just go ahead and say in this video, if you see it, value-wise, it's a good value compared to what the skins have cost in the past in the store. Personally, I think you're better set going after those skins in the event stores and the amalgam refinery. Save your money. That's my personal opinion. Just want to throw that out there because it got mentioned. Real quick, moving on to the next category, I have to talk about the event structure. Now, this one might be a little bit, y'all might get mad at me for this, but we talked about it very heavily in last night's show with Ultimate DJ and Eco. If y'all missed it on Twitch, I'm actually going to put it on YouTube on Wednesday morning. But I just, another A. And I know you're going to get mad at that, but here's the thing. If you look at it, just look at it honestly, the events ended up being the best month we've had event store currency wise ever. Because of that, it's really tough to give a negative grade. I could go a little bit lower here and understand that. I could even see doing a C grade instead of an A. Like if you're really frustrated, I would get that. The first couple days of the events were bad. But as DJ appropriately pointed out in our show last night, there were 113 individual events this past month. So a very full calendar after they made their changes. Of those, there were 2 issues. 2. It's a pretty daggone good success rate, everybody. And then it resulted in free-to-play and paying players getting the most event store currency ever. Free-to-play ending up with, let's just say a lot more than you're used to. So because of that, I can't grade the events as a negative either. We also didn't get a lot of repetition. We didn't get a ton of things just being obnoxiously bad. And while it started off poorly, and I will give credence to it starting off very poorly, the amount of work that went into this from the Arc Runner's perspective, and we talked about this last night on the show, and I can tell you this, the amount of time that they spent working with me and DJ and the moderators and listening to feedback, they put in more individual work than really should have been expected. They went above and beyond to be available and to work more than I've seen many employees for this company work. So even though things start off very poorly early on, I think they finished extremely strong. And if I would have been doing this video 3 weeks ago, this video would have been a pure F. I would just failed everything. But I don't think it'd be honest to do that right now. Let me move to the officers real quick and talk about the officers in terms of where I'm grading them. I'm going to go ahead and tell you that mine is definitely heavily shrouded in my opinion of power creep. And that means that I have a negative view of these officers. That doesn't mean that it's the worst, but still, I give it a D for the officer set. Not because they're bad. Strike Team Lon is now one of the best officers in the game. In fact, using this with full synergy is probably better than using ROM, depending on what ship you're using, for cracking bases. Obviously, Strike Team Una is now the meta for a battleship to fight off explorers. It's big, it's changing, it's game changing, but the way that it rolled out, I simply don't agree with. If you're going to change the meta, then you should change everything at once, not just make battleships amazing for a month or 2 months or 3 months until you start releasing new pieces. Again, something we talked about last night in our Twitch stream, and we are covering you can catch that full video tomorrow between myself, Eco, and DJ having honest discussions about how things worked this past month. But all that, I simply can't give a positive grade to the officers, not because of them not working, but because of what they are and what they resulted in. And also beyond this, because it hasn't happened at the time of this video, none of these were sourced free to play. None. Breaking a tradition that this game has had for a very, very long time. Strike Team Una, everybody ended up short. And we were told at the beginning of this month that they would not happen. But even if you bought the Elite Battle Pass, $20, or just free to play grinding through events and doing your ticket events, nobody got these for free. Nobody. You had to use a leaderboard or something to get those. That's not good. That's a problem. And that wasn't something that got improved this month and fixed this month as the time of making this video. Maybe they finish it by tomorrow and then this part of the video looks silly. But until then, I'm still giving it a D, and that helps drag this month down a little bit. I think that kind of makes it, so final grade. Well, not final grade yet. I'm on grade communication real quick. I'm going to be met with, there's going to be some people who don't like this, but C for communication, a C. Why? Because of some of the points I've already mentioned early on. Communication at the beginning of this month was not good. There were some good communication points. Now, I'm not trying to take shots at Eco, who's our community manager, who's doing a great job. I think so. And hell, he spent an hour and a half answering questions and having a great discussion last night in our stream. But still, the fact that we don't have effective communication for a lot of things, the fact that we had Strike Team La'an's post come out like 3 weeks after she got released. Communication was not perfect. Could have been better, but it wasn't the worst. But I think it's fair to give communication a C for the month, as players were simply left in the dark about too many different things, and that's not something you need. And even though I love being a content creator, you shouldn't have to come to Rev's Discord channel, though you should come to Rev's Discord channel to get all the information that you need for the month. That's not how things should be set up. Because of that, giving communication a C. I'm gonna go ahead and give you the final grade, and you might be able to predict it based on what we've talked about so far, but my final grade, taking everything as a whole, the good, the bad, and the ugly, is a C. I give Strange New Worlds Part 3 a C. Now that might sound generous to some of you, but if you think about it, usually event store months are almost always a guaranteed A. Not the case here. C is still a passing grade, but was it perfect? No, there are things that they did fantastically to try to make up for it. The Arc Runner, man, I want to give massive pats on their back. I think they did a great job with the events. I think that a lot of the content that came through was very good. The event store was fantastic, but too many issues, especially early on, and then lack of communication on a lot of key features is causing me to give this a C grade. But I'm very curious, as always, what you think and what you would grade this as. So you need to let me know, and you know how to do that. Comment section below. Let me know what you know. What do you grade it? Remember, these videos always get users' feedback. They will be sent to the dev team. They will be sent to the community manager, and they will be reviewed. So let me know what you think. Live long and prosper. Stay safe with their Space Cowboys. Deuces, that's me. I'm going to catch you on the next video, and let's see what this next month has in store for us. Maybe we can get back to giving arcs A grades throughout the entirety of the month. That'd be nice. Be nice.
An even better outro than the intro. For the Empire and glory to your house.